Hey, what's going on, everyone? Moose here and Matt from 222 Offroad Quick Lube and Service Center. I've been telling you guys, I got it. 21 Can-Am Maverick Sport Max, 9,200 miles. And Matt's going to help me, and we're going to decide, did I make a good deal or am I going to be spending more money than I already have? So tell us, Matt,
Well, first off, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to go through a lot of things today. It's something we commonly do with customers is we'll bring you right in. Just like I'm doing with you today, we'll bring you in, we'll shake the wheels, we'll show you exactly what we do on a normal service that shows up here. That way maybe you can do it after you hit a big bump. You know what to go check. Did I mess up my ball joint? You know, am I good to keep riding? But basically, I'm just here to give you some of my info, help you out, and show all your followers how to take care of their own stuff.
Right on. And you know, one thing that Matt did say was, we're going to change the fluids. And I was like, well, I'll film you changing them. He goes, no, you're changing them.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Either way, listen, we're going to get this thing ready to go. We'll be right back. Stick around. I think you guys are going to learn a lot.
All right, so first off, Moose is behind the camera.
That's me.
I'm going to show you guys, basically, before we get it up on the hoist, what you kind of want to do while you're in the trails to make sure that your family's safe, that you're safe, and that you can continue to beat the crap out of it. That's what I do.
And this could actually even be for somebody who's going to buy a used machine too, right?
Yeah, because a lot of times you don't have a lift.
Right.
You know?
I mean, you might have a jack.
So it's pretty basic, but it's tire shaking. It's just for your peace of mind while you're driving, you know that you at least shook your tires. I see a lot of guys go out there and beat the crap out of their machine, and I'll watch them jump out of the machine, chit-chat with their buddies, jump right back in and go do it again. Well, you don't know if a ball joint failed or if a wheel bearing's going. So these are some of the things that out in the trails, I'll tell them, hey, shake your tires.
Yeah.
So first off, one of the things I do while I'm conversating with people a lot is I just sit there and I'm talking. They don't even know what I'm doing, but I'm sitting here going like this, trying to feel if I feel anything. Is my wheel bearing tight? Another way, grab the inside of the tire, pull it, rock, put all your weight, you'll feel it. And if you can't feel it, have a buddy put a hand on the tire while you're doing that, and they'll feel that niche.
That kind of, that clicking, right?
You'll feel something.
Yeah.
So far, that I don't feel a darn thing, just so you know.
That's good.
For that many miles, I mean, they either drove it really nice or up kept it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But like I said, these are just basic things, but I don't feel nothing. So first thing I do, if someone says, hey man, I feel something, this is what I do in the trails. So come on up here and I'll do the front tires. Feels good. But it might not look like much, but all right, now I feel something here. If you want, come on up here and just put your hand on the tire while I'm doing this, Moose. You'll feel. You feel that?
Maybe a little. Okay.
I got the feel for it, and there's something. It's either inner bushings or wheel bearing, ball joints, but it's not something you got to go head home. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're in the trail, you're just a little peace of mind. You're like, man, I got a little something going on in that front tire.
Fair enough.
So that's basic. The first thing you do, shake your tires. The tire comes off going down the trail, you're in trouble.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
Next
you might
thing
be going home in reverse.
Next thing I would do if, say, you're trying to buy something and you're looking for how do I inspect it. That's the first thing. If every one of them has a niche in them, you know that the guy never maintenanced it, maybe never greased it. So that's kind of a bad sign. One, it is what it is. I mean, they are off-road toys.
Yeah, for sure.
Next thing I would do, and I can tell that my personal opinion, and you might be able to tell me, Moose, is they rode in a lot of fields.
Maybe.
I bet.
Okay.
I bet it was used on personal property more than anything. Because you see that?
Yep.
There's no paint left on the
It's all
front of that
grass
control arm.
knocking down, huh?
That's grass. That's
Yeah.
long grass. It's not up here. The shocks have no rock chips in them. So that tells me that they're not riding 10 foot behind someone and beating the crap out of it.
Yeah.
So, but if you see no paint on the front of your control arms, in just the lower, not the uppers, you know where they're riding. I almost put money that this was on a farm used more than in the trails, which is also another good one. It's got a bed on it. Someone was using it around their personal property.
Right on.
So there's your first couple things. What else would I check? Miles.
Yeah, we already know.
And then I'd pick the customer's brain, or the people that you're buying it from. I'd pick their brain. I'd say,
Yep.
what did you use it for? But
So-
for a basic, quick inspection, I'd already say, I know you're in good shape.
Right. So yeah, so the people that I got it from, obviously it came from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and they were a family that I think they have 2 little girls, and they bought it to ride the trails in the UP. So they lived in Manistee, and they used to take it on rides all the way up to Fish Point, Whitefish Point.
Okay.
So, you know, that's a good trip. They were like, look, man, I mean, our trips were like 300 plus miles one way.
Nice.
And, you know, with 2 little girls in the back, and I saw pictures of them
Yep.
in the back, you know, they're all in their helmets and stuff. And I just really didn't get the impression that they ragged this machine out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like some young kid and his girlfriend, and they were like, oh man, we just take it everywhere. You know, like they, you know, and then what they ended up doing was they bought this machine to decide if they wanted to invest more. And I think they ended up buying a Defender. Or it's a Polaris General. I can't remember. I saw it in their garage, but it's totally enclosed, heat, cool, everything. But they used this one to decide if they wanted the other. So that's why they bought
Stepping
it.
stone.
Yeah, so they
A lot
used it.
of guys do it.
They used it for a year and they put a ton of miles on it, and then that was it.
At some point, you'll be doing the same.
You
You know, I mean,
I'm trying.
everybody does. I'm doing it.
Right.
We're looking into something enclosed because
Right.
we've been riding for 6 years now, side by sides. We probably got 30,000 miles combined through the 3 machines we have, and it's looking like time. I go for rides like in this. This is a good buddy.
Right.
Of mine.
Yeah.
I go for a ride in that. It's got 2 heaters in it. It's got windshield wiper.
That thing's sick.
I mean, that's a 19. Oh, and by the way, that's got almost 12,000 miles on it.
Right.
So for an example, high mileage is nothing if it was maintained.
Right.
Another thing I wanted to say about this is, and I didn't look because I already looked with Moose, but you definitely want to check your plastics up here, your side panels for any wear, because 9 out of 10 times, even if they're put on their side, there is a bend to the frame. Whether you can see it or not, it did something. These are technically roof supports,
Right.
not roll cages.
Right.
So if you want
You gotta
a roll
pay
cage,
for a roll cage.
you have to you know, they take it off, they build you one. So just something to keep in mind. But for the first impression of this machine, I think you did awesome.
I mean,
I don't know what you paid, but for the mileage wise,
Right.
there's no regrets there. I can tell. Now, have you checked your air filter yourself?
Yep. I pulled the air filter out. I bounced it off the ground. It was perfect.
Really?
There's no dirt, no dust, no nothing.
Because that's #1 cause of motor failure.
Yep. The only thing that I did have to change is I did order one of these. This is your clutch ventilation.
Yep.
And the old one had like 2 or 3 of these missing. They were punched out.
Yep.
So I did order a brand new one. So this is brand new.
Which that's real common for sticks.
Yep.
It's-
So I
it's
saw
just
though
been-
too that they sell like these little bags that can go over them. They're like a pre-filter.
Oh yeah, yeah. Nope.
So I think I might buy those maybe. I don't know. We have a lot of sand out here. So that's kind of why I was looking at it.
Well, I can tell you the answer for that. Regardless what you do, you need to blow out your clutches like quite often. I hate to say it, and no one really believes me, but 100 miles, you need to get in there and blow that clutch out. Now, what I tell people is every 100 miles, blow your clutch out. If you get to it and you blow it out and it's clean, cool. You can go 150. And if you get there and you blow it out and it's clean, go 200. But don't just assume that it's good. Know it's good.
Right.
Because that right there, them clutches, secondary and primary, can almost cost the price of a new motor.
Right.
Okay?
Yep.
They're minimal $2,000 when your clutches go, if you have to have both. So a lot of people
Yikes.
miss that part.
Right.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it.
So it's something that I recommend people sit down on a day off when you got nothing to do. Sit down, find out how to get to that clutch cover, what extension you need, buy a little cheap impact that you keep in a bag, make a kit, take it with your machine. That way if you blow a belt on the trail, you have your stuff and your, you know, within 10 minutes, your people are running around playing in the mud puddle, whatever they're doing, you're changing it. You're like, all right, let's go. And they're like, really? Like, it makes
I have
it
every
tough.
tool in there, including a right angle, rigid wrench
Okay,
to remove that.
I got one thing that I got to ask you if you have. Do you have a Scotch-Brite or any kind of scuff pad? Okay, so that's
No, I
very
don't.
important. You blow a belt on the trail, and this happens all the time. So people will tell me, just to let you know. So I talk to someone, they say, I've blown 6 belts and I can't keep a belt on it, this and that. And if they'll allow me to pick their brain, what 90% of the time is they blew a belt out on the trail, they just swapped it out, it ran good the whole weekend, they park it, they get back in the machine, and they blow a belt again out on the trail, okay? So they change their belt. Next weekend, they blow another belt. Well, when you blow a belt, it leaves rubber residue all on the clutches. So if you throw your brand new belt on it, all that it's doing is slipping again. So it's kind of self-inflicted.
That might be why mine's slipping now then.
Might be why you're smelling belt. Because
Are we
there's
gonna take a
still
look at that?
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into
All
it
right.
all. We're going deep.
This is going to be a long video, y'all.
Yeah, so
go get yourself a soda or a cigar or
absolutely.
something. And
But you're going to learn a lot, and if you listen, it's going to help you, you know, keep your investment. So, your clutches, the Scotch-Brite thing. So you got to Scotch-Brite your clutches, clean them off. They'll look like brand new. It'll look like you resurfaced them if you take your time, you clean them all up. Another thing is belt. Man, there's so much to cover. There really is. Another thing is you got to break in your belt correctly. Hands down, you don't break in your belt, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're going to blow another belt. Actually, the drag racer guys, what they do is they actually wash the belt in dish soap, water, get it hot, because there's oil residues on the molds when they actually get made in the factory. So then you throw it on your clutch and you actually have a little bit of oils, and it can allow it to slip.
doesn't that
glaze your
make
clutches.
sense?
So a lot of these guys, the drag race guys, they actually, when they're not out riding with their buddies, they actually go out and break in a belt, a brand new belt, take it back off, put it in the container, put it back as their brand new belt. That way, if they blow it on the trails with a buddy, they can just throw it on and still drive like it never happened.
the more you know.
Right?
Right.
So, because what happens is, here's a scenario. You're out on the trails, you're riding with a bunch of buddies, they're having a blast ripping. So you blow your belt. You change your belt and you're like, but I gotta break it in. So now you're breaking it in, you're going slow, all your buddies are ragging on you. They're like, what are you doing, man? We're waiting for 5 minutes at every corner. You go about 15 miles like that and you say, you know what? Screw it, it's good. And then you get back into it. And then you put it away, next time you come up, you blow a belt. Well, you never properly broke it in. And if you do that and you blow the belt on the trail again, that same thing will happen again. Your buddies will rag on you because you're going too slow and you're holding the whole group up. So then you say, screw it, and you don't properly, and it just happens over and over. I've seen it happen. I've seen people blow 6 belts in one night. because they're never properly cleaning their clutches or breaking in their belt.
Oh man, we got so much to learn.
So, like I said, if you don't want to spend $220 on a new belt every weekend or every 1,000 miles even, break it in with the wife out on the property, you know, run your 50 miles. The way you break in a belt, the way I say break in a belt, everybody has a different opinion, is you have to, I call it common sense, you have to wait till that belt and that clutch is all evenly worn in and heated up together. So if you throw a new belt on and your clutches are still warm from riding and that belt's cold and you go out there and hammer on it, it's gonna tear up that belt. So what you do is you alternate your RPMs. So you run your RPMs up, you let them come back down. So basically you're working that belt on the clutches evenly and you're creating heat evenly dispersed throughout your clutches. And then, I'm not a belt guy, I'm a YXZ, drive shaft. I don't have belts on my machine. But what I found out is once you get that clutch and the belt evenly warmed up, that's when you're good to go. Does it make sense to you, Moose?
Yep.
Because, I don't know, that's my opinion. Never had a problem with it, and I ride them hard, so. Where else do we go? Because like I said, I'll get way off track, buddy, because.
No, I mean, hey, listen, when I was looking to buy a machine, honestly, I had so many questions and I couldn't find any one video that really talked in depth about what do I need to do? What do I need to look at? How do I troubleshoot? How do I do this? Everybody claimed that they had this great video on how to do this stuff, and then you get in there and they get squirreled off on something that doesn't even have anything to do with what you're doing, and it just became frustrating. So honestly, I think there are a lot of people out there that are in the same boat that I am. You know, you've saved your money, you're ready, you want to enjoy the trails, you want to enjoy time with your family, and you just don't know. So I think a true in-depth video, which I believe is what we're doing, is exactly what the people want to see, right? There's always newcomers that come into this, or there's people that maybe, just like you said, maybe they've only been into this for a year and they're so disheartened because they can't stop blowing belts.
Happens
right?
a lot.
I see it in the
Literally,
I see it on the forums and the Facebook groups all the time.
I would say most of the negative I ever see out there is self-inflicted.
For sure.
Not because they're neglecting their machine. It's because they don't know any better.
Right.
I feel what we're talking about right now, every dealer should be walking you through.
Right.
But they don't tell you that.
No.
They don't.
No,
I
because
mean,
they want your money.
well, or they're busy. I don't know what it might be, but you get what I'm saying.
Right.
They don't tell you this stuff. And it's just one thing, and I even get people asking me, why do you tell everybody this? Then they won't bring it back. I beg to differ with that. Regardless, if you treat someone like family, you take care of them, and you teach them something, that's something they'll never forget. And in the future, they'll recommend, and they'll send you work, and, you know, karma's great.
Yeah, amen to that. And hey, you know, on the note of you kind of teaching me as well about, you know, some of this stuff is, you know, when I was growing up, I remember the whole tread lightly.
Yep.
Right? Like that was a big thing. And for you older folks, and maybe it's still around, I don't know, but it's all about taking care of nature and what we have as a group to be able to ride on and things like that. And one thing that you brought up maybe a couple of times ago when we were chatting is keeping the trails clean. Yep. Right? Yep. Like, you know, there's so many beer cans and soda cans and garbage, and you know, I get it. You know, you're in an enclosed vehicle that maybe doesn't have windows, and the wind hits, and you whoop, there goes, you know, a napkin. I understand. I mean, you know, and I don't expect everybody to slam on their brakes and go, oh my God, you know, in the middle of a ride. But you know, you brought up like keeping stuff clean, and that really meant something to me. And so I reached out to this company. They're called sak-it.com. And what they do is they make these garbage collection bags or storage bags that you can actually mount to the rear of your machine. And when you're out on the trail, if you're drinking the pop or the adult beverage or whatever, it's your life. You can put your garbage and stuff into these. And then when you get home, you can just take it off and dump it out. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't even know this was a thing. And then when I saw it, I was like, I have to get with these guys. So, what a great concept. It's a garbage can that you can, even if you have it on the back of your machine, everybody stops at a corner or whatever, and everybody gets out and starts enjoying the refreshment. It's there in front of their face, right? Nobody's looking around for a garbage and just pitches it into the woods. It's like, bro, I got a garbage bag right here. Just throw it in there. I'll take care of it when I get home. So huge shout out to sak-it. You guys are going to be seeing more of these guys for sure.
I want to say something to them, and that's thanks, because this type of stuff is what keeps our trails open.
That's right. That's right.
Because there's a lot of talk out there about, well, we're not going to have it forever because everybody's disrespecting and this and that. This is a real way to start working towards what we need to do to keep the trails open.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
We say it all the time. We say keep it clean. When you're out you're out riding and you're with a bunch of buddies and someone might take it negative if you're like, hey bro, pick your stuff up. So what we've kind of started saying is we just say, keep it clean, bro. And it kind of clicks in their head. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That, oh shit, I did just throw that on the ground.
That's right.
And that's something I even look forward to. Maybe we can get sak-it to put keep it clean right on it. I don't know.
Maybe your logo too.
Well, that'd be cool. I'll tell you what. That'd almost be something with over every service or something. Maybe I'll just donate that to the customer. Because that's the most important thing. I'm passionate about this. This is what my whole life revolves around, is riding. My kid rides with me. My wife rides with me. Almost everybody I call family, I met in them trails.
Right.
So this is very important. So I want to say thank you guys, because that was definitely a need. Yep.
So without that, let's get back to inspection. Do we need to lift this thing in the air?
Oh, we got.
What are we going to do?
What else do we have to talk about? I think that's about where we're at.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So
we're going to lift it up?
We're going to lift it up.
I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Well, yeah, we're going to see if they only ran over grass or if they ran over rocks too.
I can't make the camera shake, but if it could, I'm a little nervous about this.
You're going to see in the skid plate, it's going to tell you a lot about the machine too.
So give us a second. We'll be right back, and we'll have this thing in the air. Boop.
All right, so Moose, now we're going to shake some tires on the left. So you can do this on the ground, get a jack underneath it, get it off the ground. First thing I do, grab the top, or bottom and top, and you shake her back and forth, just like you would check a wheel bearing on a car. And I don't feel anything. And then you check your tie rods. There's a little bit of slop, but it's common. You can get a brand new machine, has a little bit of slop. Real common. Not to dog Can-Am, but real common for Can-Am. Their steering rack's just a little
It's just because they're so manly that, they get tired of flexing all the time.
I mean, since you own a Can-Am, you can say that, but there's pros and cons to them.
Right,
right. So yeah, shake your tire. That one was good. Shake this one up and down. Feels good. Side to side. Now we got some slop there. Can you see that?
Oh yeah, I can definitely see it. I felt it earlier.
Now there's a tad bit on that side. There's quite a bit on this side. Not something that you got to stop your weekend, but you want to keep it in mind, right? So if you come in here, when I'm doing it, I'll watch the outer tie rod. I don't see no play there. Maybe slight play. A lot of times what I like to do is take my finger, touch the actual hub and the tie rod as you're shaking it. You feel movement from this, but not that, which I can. There's a little bit of slop there. Nothing I'm concerned about. Now, I've grabbed this boot. That's the inner tie rod.
Hold on, let me come around the
Now,
other
that
side.
one has some slop. That's a little concerning. So, actually,
Is it a ton or?
well, there's a ball inside of it, and they wear.
So it's ready.
It's
getting ready.
I would change it.
Okay.
Like I said, you can continue your weekend. Like say if it was Saturday and you wanted to ride today and tomorrow, go ahead and ride. Keep it in mind, as long as you know. But you need to order the part. You need to get her done.
Okay.
So, but what it's telling me so far is this, what is it, 9,800 miles?
9,200, yeah.
9,200 miles. 9,200 miles, I can tell that they haven't been in here replacing anything. So for 9,200 miles to have a little bit of play in your tie rod and, you know, little stuff like this, that tells me they didn't have to replace a lot of stuff because they didn't ride it hard.
Is that like a Charlie Sheen moment of winning? Right.
So also, what did you say? They had 2 kids?
2 kids, yeah.
So they had their daughters in the back. They weren't out beating the crap out of it. They're just getting fresh air.
Right.
You know?
Having a good time.
So we got good wheel bearings. We got a small amount of play on your tie rod. Then I take a big pair of channel locks like this, and I'll grab a hold of the top of the ball joint and the bottom here. When you pull these two together, and if you see any play, you know you got ball joint going bad. Oop, but you do have some there. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Once
Just
again,
a little bit, but
once
yeah.
again, it's not falling off. But if it's got 9,200 miles, I don't know the price you paid, but it's worth.
I mean,
it's your new baby.
Yeah.
Get her done.
I'm going to take care of it. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if it went 9,200 miles and it's got that play, you put new ones on, you can drive around with no worries.
9,000
You know
more
what I'm
miles.
saying? Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think you're going to drive a little harder.
Well, we'll see.
I'm almost positive because if you're riding with me,
Right, yeah.
you know, bad influence a little bit or something.
That's probably true.
So then you grab wherever you can on the bottom, do the same thing. I don't see none whatsoever. So the lower is good. Little play in your top ball joint. Same thing over here. Grab a hold of that top, grab the bottom.
Just about the same. Just a little bit.
A little bit more. A little more. You know what makes sense though? Where does everybody drive their machine hard? They put the passenger in the danger. it's just common.
Don't say that too loud, man.
So-
My wife might watch this video.
Yeah, but if you were to do a donut, would you go to the left or would you go to the right?
Yeah, you're right.
You
I'm
go to the
gonna
left.
keep myself
That's
on
what
the
I'm
inside.
saying.
Yeah.
So this right front tire, right rear tire usually takes a lot of the wear. So even a person that drives their machine really nice, like I assume these people did, if you're going to get anywhere, it's going to be in your right front, right rear, because
Okay.
that's where you're going to throw
Yeah.
it, you know. So a little bit of ball joint, both uppers. Another way when you're shaking this, I know we felt tie rod, but you're going to watch your bushings in here, your control arm bushings.
Yeah.
So you kind of watch them as you're going. I don't see any slop. Now I do in the top. So watch right here.
Okay.
See it move?
Yeah, a little bit.
A
Yeah.
little bit.
But that's enough for preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
take care of it.
Absolutely.
Bushings are cheap.
The one thing that you can't do on this particular one is just throw some grease in it.
Right.
A lot of times you see that little bit of play, you just got to grease them. Someone didn't stay up. These are not greasable control arms. So
But we could buy greasable ones, right?
you could, but to be honest, that just attracts dirt.
Right.
So that's kind of why they went to this. So,
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
newer bushings are like a self-lubricating bushing.
Yeah. So one thing I did
9,200
notice-
miles with that little bit.
Right.
I think we're good.
Now, one thing I did notice is, you know, and I talked about this, you see my little grease fitting up there,
Yep.
and I grease that. This one on this side is MIA. So it was there when I first went to grease it, and like I think I touched it and it fell off. So
Good possibility that it was barely screwed in.
Right.
It's real common. But if you did break this, we'll fix it today. It's not much to get it out because once the top breaks off, you just take a little screwdriver or something, get in there, it'll back right out.
Stick it in there and back it right out.
We have bins full of them because it's very common.
Gotcha.
So, not a big deal. Next thing we'd check is, let's do the control arm bushings on this side because we did find some play on the other side. A little bit in that same spot.
Yeah.
See it?
Nothing on the bottom, but up top.
Yep,
Okay.
just that one.
So we need a couple of bushings,
Yep.
a couple of ball joints, and maybe some new.
Next thing is to visibly inspect your boots. Okay, you see how you don't have any grease chunks on there or anything?
Yep.
No grease flung anywhere. If you ever see little spots of grease, you know that you got a hole in your
In your
CV
boot there, yeah.
So let's check this inner one. That one's good too. So I want to touch on this for a minute. A lot of people will break a OEM CV shaft and then they're like, well, I broke it and I only had 1,000 miles on it and it's already broke. Well, if you did what I'm telling you, I'll put some money on it that you had a hole in your boot, you got water and dirt in there, and that's what caused it to fail. It's not OEM's crap. I don't believe in that. OEM, they got a lot of money into it, millions of dollars into the design, and they don't just put out crap. I've seen them all. Every time that someone's talking crap about OEM, it's neglect or just lack of knowledge on what to check, you know? So this is really, really important if you don't want to get stranded on the trails. Just check. They make replacement boots. They're only about
cheap.
$25.
Yep.
So we can get you back on the trails without any worries, you know. You spin your tire, rotate your tire, and actually I see you do have a little bit of an issue here. So your tires, you upgraded your tires.
Yes, I did.
I don't know if you told the people, but
Yep.
he upgraded his tires. So these are not stock tires. And it's actually, if you look right there, it's hitting the shock. So far, I might see a little bit of a line right there, but no wear on it. So you're lucky that you weren't getting it in a pinch,
Yeah.
you know. But that's something, what I would recommend is just go with some 1.5 to 2 inch spacers. It's not like it's a real high powered machine. A lot of people like to talk crap about spacers, but if you get solid billet aluminum spacers and you don't hit stuff,
That's
they're not
the
going
key.
to fail. Yeah. So back to, you rotate your tire, you don't see any hiccups, anything going on. When you spin your tire, that tells you that your CV shaft is operating right. You do it both ways, in and out. Spin it, you don't feel anything, hear anything, it's in good shape. Sometimes you'll see this.
Yeah.
It'll actually rotate like that.
Like it's bent.
It's bound up. You need a new CV shaft, or you need to pull your boots, clean them up, put them back together.
Yep. So just to be clear, and I want to make this point because I've heard people talk about this online. Do I need to do anything to my machine to run 32-inch tires on my Can-Am Maverick? And I've heard people say, you don't need a clutch kit. Well, I'm here to tell you that I can smell my clutch, and I didn't prior to putting them on. So, and then the other thing is I hear people say you don't need wheel spacers. Well, I guess that could be if you have the right wheels with the right offset.
Correct.
But with these Can-Am rims, and I think these are off of a Commander or a Defender. They're the bead locks, but they are Can-Am. They don't have the proper offset for you not to rub the inner side. If you're running carnivores, you know, maybe some other tires are a little thinner or the sidewall doesn't bulge out as much. But just to give you guys firsthand look, that is actually the case.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you absolutely have to run a clutch kit if you upgrade your tires. Maybe 1 inch, yeah, but I'm pretty sure this probably come with 28s or 29s.
I think they're 27s.
27.
They might be 28s.
And you went to a 32.
Right. I made a
There's
big jump.
no ifs, ands, or buts. You got to put a clutch kit in.
Right.
And like you said, you're smelling it. There's a lot of rotating mass. You're changing your gearing in theory. It has to be done. So a way to check that, and we'll hit this on other videos, I think, because that's a whole nother video on how to deal with that. But if you're thinking about upgrading on your tires, a good way to know and to see yourself that you need a clutch kit. Go 5 miles an hour on dry pavement, 4-wheel drive, mat the gas, watch your RPMs. What do they shoot up to and level out at? Say you're at 8,000 RPMs. You put this big of a tire, I bet you went from 8,000 RPMs to 7,200.
Yeah, you know what? Honest to God, that's about it. I on occasion, it'll hit 72, but then it settles right back, sometimes even mid-5s, like 55 to...
You're losing so much.
Yeah, to 65.
So
and you know, huge shout out because I do have an Aftermarket Assassin's Stage 1, which is the clutch kit and the tuner coming for this. And there's going to be a video on that, so you're going to want to see that for sure. But and we're going to do it right here.
I've done multiple after.
Yep. And listen, what we talked about, I can't wait to show the people. You guys are definitely going to want to see this video.
And that's what we'll do is I'm assuming we'll probably throw the stocks back on it and show you a real life RPM difference. From when we go from 32s to 27.
Yeah, we'll start with the stocks with just the way it sits right now. We'll go out and do an RPM run, and then we'll put the 32 back on it, show the RPM run. Then we're going to do the clutch kit and show you the RPMs. Then we're going to add the tuner and show you guys again just that, yeah, a tuner even makes a big difference.
Oh, it all makes a big
I mean, I can't wait. I'm so excited. I'm like, it's like Christmas, man. I'm just like, come on, baby.
There's so much in this game, but I'll tell you what, being here and meeting all these people and working on all these different machines, I've turned into a book of knowledge.
Right. Yep, I mean, for sure.
Because believe me, I haven't learned all this myself. I learned from every customer too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're always learning, right?
Yep.
So back to CV shafts. So we checked that one. Let's rotate this one. And it's obviously hitting on
Same
this
problem.
one too. Not a big deal. We'll take care of that. Oh, wait a minute. Did I see something there? See a little bit of movement, but it's not anything I'm concerned about. But do you see how the cup rocks a little there?
A little bit, yeah.
There, but
Dude, it's got 9,200 miles on it. I'm not mad.
And when you spin it, she good. Like, it's not binding.
I don't hear anything.
Yeah. I love it. I mean, so far you got a good unit. Let's come on back here.
All right.
So same thing here. Oh, we
Now
got
she's
her
in
gear.
park. I put it in park.
In park.
That was my bad.
So.
All right, we'll be right back because we're going to lower this thing and put it in neutral.
All right. All righty. So same thing in the rear. We're going to check CV shafts. We're going to rotate the tires. You got a plug in that tire there. Buddy.
We're going to fix that. We're going to patch it internally.
Right on. So yeah, you just rotate your tires, best you can do back here. You watch your CV shafts. You check your boots, same thing. Look for any splat or any grease coming out, because if that does happen, you just get it fixed right away, and you'll get tons of life out of them. Same thing here. Rotate it. Actually, I see something. So this, which one? I believe. Hold on one second. I want to check something up there.
Oh boy.
Okay. So, like I said before, people beat on the right side of the machine, right?
Right.
This is an aftermarket CV shaft. Not no problem. It's fine. But I was just looking at the boots, and the boots were different from one side to the other.
So that one's been replaced.
I knew one of them, but I figured it would be, if I had to bet, it was the right rear. But I wanted to check the front boots and see which one, and sure, it's this one. So
okay.
That CV shaft's been replaced. Another way I would have put money on that was the one is look at here. If you look up in here, you can see dry rot in the boot. It's not ripped yet, but I almost bet that boot got ripped because it was old and it flung grease and it broke.
Well, at least they fixed it.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I'm saying is you can avoid all that stuff just by looking at your machine. So you got a little bit of dry rot in your boots, I just watch them, just like I already recommended. When one splits, we'll just pull it off, replace both boots because we know it's got 9,200 miles on it.
Yeah.
But the inner, I can see the same thing. There's quite a bit of dry rot in it. Actually, it's tearing a little bit, but no grease coming out yet. So you just got to watch it. But the way it rotates, yep, she good. So I see no problems there. Let's check these bushings now. So you got upper and lower control arm bushings.
I see the bottom one moving a little bit.
So we got a little play right here. Now I'll watch this, and if I feel something but I can't see it, once again, like I said earlier, I will just touch the frame and the control arm. When you shake that, it's a no-brainer, it moves. You'll feel the difference. So lower control arm bushing there's got some slop. Upper looks good. So both lowers have a small amount of play. Do the same over here. Same thing. You can see the movement right here.
Yep.
Top one looks good.
So just so we're clear too, this is like normal wear points, right?
I see this on 500-mile machines.
Right.
I don't want to dog no machines, but some machines I see it with 200 miles.
Right. It can't be a Can-Am.
No, Can-Ams are real good, to be honest. Like I said before, that's got almost 12,000 miles, I believe, and no issues. I mean, we had to change all the control arm bushings, but other than that, I mean, they're actually a really dependable machine.
Right.
Harder to work on, though. I'd say one of the hardest side-by-side manufacturers to work on is Can-Am. But the good news is, most of the time, Can-Am don't fail, it's the drivers.
Right.
They hit something, or they did something stupid.
Listen, it's a car that you're driving off-road, right? You can't expect anything different if you jumped into your own vehicle and start ragging on it.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
you start running into stuff, guess
you
what?
You better expect it.
Right, you're gonna have problems.
So very minute. For 9,200 miles, it blows my mind. So far, you did amazing. Now, to be honest,
But Doyle rules.
To be honest, the most important thing though is air filter, oils, trans, diff, that kind of stuff.
Now I'm
we
nervous
haven't got
again.
into it yet, but by the looks of the machine, I feel pretty confident. So, what's another thing? Oh, so I was telling you a little bit earlier about this. 9,200 miles, these shocks have probably never been serviced. That's way, way beyond.
Right.
So there's these cups right here that ride along the shock body, and they're plastic. They get worn. So if you look right here, you can see wear on the inside here.
Here, let me move this camera just a little bit. Okay.
So you see this wear in here?
Yes, I can see it, yep.
Okay. It's the same way out here on this side too.
Yes, sir.
What I say is they've never had them serviced. They've never messed with them. So what happens is this cup is made out of plastic. So as dirt gets between the shock body and the cup, it actually wears on that plastic and it creates a bigger void in there. So then now we probably have a 1/4 inch play to where actually little rocks and stuff can get down in there and get stuck. So then when they get stuck down in there, it creates wear on your body and potentially could wear right straight through.
And that's a big expense.
Yeah, absolutely. So another thing is service your shocks. Manufacturer recommendation is 1,500 miles. Now, just like an engine oil, your shocks have oil too. And it needs to be changed. It gets broke down. If you beat on your machine real hard and you're out there just using it, going through the whoops and you're doing all that stuff, just to confirm that you're putting some wear on them, just grab a hold of the reservoir. It'll be hot. You'll be surprised how hot it is. After the sand bowl, riding around there 15 times, it'll almost burn my hand when I touch my reservoirs. So that's another one. I mean, that's hard to get through people's heads that they got to do that because it's a big expense, and it's like, come on, man. But just like anything, like your engine or anything, if you neglect to service them, you end up spending $2,000 to $4,000 on a new set of shocks. So it's kind of your choice, but it is something I recommend.
Sure,
is
absolutely.
That you service your shocks.
Yeah, and I've heard that mentioned a lot. A lot of people talk about that.
Absolutely, and so I'm guilty of it myself. My first machine, it's out there on the trailer actually, it's pretty retired, but it has 13,800 miles on it. At 7,000 miles, I was no different than you guys. I'm just out there riding it, and I'm like, man, it's great. Well, I had a buddy of mine that's a big racer and knows about this stuff deep. And this was 7 years ago. He says, dude, your shocks don't look like they're working right. I'm like, what do you mean, dude? I'm just driving. I don't care what the shocks do. And he grabbed a hold of the front bumper and he shook it. And I mean, the thing would almost bounce off the ground.
It was like a hoopty.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh. I was like, well, I never really noticed that. And no more than 10 minutes later, I'm chasing him around and he rides hard. And you guys will learn I beat my stuff harder than almost anyone out there. So I'm chasing him and I end up putting it on its side. And I had 7,000 miles at that time, never put it on its side. And I put it to its test. I put it on its side and he's like, dude, it's because of your shocks. And he was totally right, because what happened is I come into the corner and it just basically gave out on me. And the shock came up so far that it hooked, and I didn't tip it hard. I just tipped on its side. But either way, so then I went and got my shocks done. Cost me $1,850 to get my shocks done. Now, if I would have stayed on top of it, I would have had a quality ride the whole time, and I would have had the same amount of money into it, because it's about $800 to have your shocks serviced. So I should have been at like $3 at that point. Well, now I'm at $1,850, and for 6,000 miles, I was riding a hoopty. Right. You get what I'm saying? So it's just one of them things.
Insert Sir Mix-a-Lot clip here.
So what's the next thing? Oh, U-joints. Very common to go bad. They're hard to see on these machines, but U-joints are another serviceable item that you have to check. So let's see if we can get in there and look at it. I don't even know if we can get in there to see them.
Yeah, from what I understand, they're riveted bottom plates.
Yeah, it's a
you got to
Can-Am.
drill them out and then put bolts back in there.
It's a Can-Am. So yeah, so I can't even see.
Yeah, you know why it's not serviceable? Because you ain't got to fix it. I'm just kidding.
Well, that is true. I see carrier bearings on a lot of different ones fail. Can-Am just seems to be solid. Yeah, you can't even get to your U-joints on this one. But you would hear it, you'd feel it. That's one thing I tell everybody is listen to your machine.
Yeah, I don't hear the vibration that people in the past have talked about, where Can-Am had that issue with the vibrating drive shaft. Now, I don't know. This is my first machine, so I don't know what I'm supposed to be listening for or feeling.
You actually hear it.
Oh, well,
Because I did one like this, And that was the problem. He said, I just keep hearing something. I keep hearing something. Well, I couldn't get in there right on the spot to see what was going on. So we tore the skid plate off, and it actually wasn't even a bad carrier bearing. It was just the housing on it would rattle. So it would create the clink. So we could, the way I actually found it is I took a plastic, like rubber mallet, and I stuck it up there and pushed on the drive shaft while I was running, and the noise would go away. And I'd take it off. And
Makes sense.
So it wasn't even a bad carrier bearing, but it did make a lot of noise. So if your U-joints are accessible, you definitely want to shake them, you want to watch them. Another thing we got to look at is, I don't know. I mean, I guess we're hit all the basics.
I would say. I mean, now I'm nervous about what my oil looks like.
I'm not, because I think that, like I said, I usually can tell by looking at a machine. Because, like, for one, when I get under there and I look at your skid plate, all the holes are open. There's not clumps of grass stuck in every hole,
right,
where you can tell they've been bottoming out and going through.
Yeah, it doesn't look really scraped up.
I don't see anything other than you got to clean it. But I'll tell you what, we don't have a car wash in this town, so
no, we don't.
It's hard to clean over.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm already looking forward to spring when I can break out the foam gun and really clean this thing the way it should be.
That's a job on its own.
Yeah.
You'll learn.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it.
To do it correct, it's like 4 hours.
Chemical guys, help us out. Shameless plug for trying to work with somebody.
So, I would say you're in good shape, buddy. Do you feel any slop in your steering?
Not really.
Feels good?
Yeah. I mean, when I move the steering wheel, the tires move.
Yeah, well, you would feel it.
Yeah.
Well, going over the whoops and you would feel play.
No, I'm still learning my shocks. You know, when I got it, they had them set to 3, so stiff. I know that 1 is way too soft. Like, you hit a whoop with a 1, and don't get me wrong, they work, but it's just like, it's just too much. So I put them on 2. I'm pretty happy with 2. I feel like 2 is right where I want to be. You know, it's kind of like, it's kind of like Goldilocks. You know, it's like, this one's too cold, this one's too hot, but the middle one's just right.
So something that makes up that big time, and I've saved people $4,000 before. One couple specifically, they brought a brand new machine in, 300 miles on it. They're like, Matt, I want a full suspension done. I want the whole deal. I mean, we're talking a $4,000 shock deal. And I'm like, why? You have a couple hundred miles on your machine and they got millions of dollars into that design. Like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we just ride, us and the family, and you don't go hard, you don't go out to the sand bowl and hit the whoops, you don't jump. They're like, no. I said, well, there's something going on, because it should be capable of doing any of that. So I get in their machine and I drive it around the shop parking lot, and I instantly are like, holy cow, this thing is clapped out, something's wrong. I get out and I check their air pressure, and they got 32 pounds of air pressure in their tires.
Oh, geez.
Well, what they did is they upgraded tires like you did. Well, they went to an automotive shop, so what are they going to do?
Fill it to the manufacturer's
They're going to put it to 32
spec.
pounds of pressure. So I let a bunch of air out of their tires, and if you got beadlocks, if you got beadlocks, you can run 10 pounds all day long. You can run down to 5 pounds if you want. I stay 8 to 10 pounds depending, 10 in the front, 8 in the rear. I like to make sure the front end stays
planted.
Yeah. So anyways, I let the air out of their tires, and they're like, well, I still want to know about the suspension. I said, well, go ride for the weekend and tell me what you think after the weekend. Come back on Sundays. I don't want to sell stuff that they don't need.
Right.
So they leave. They come back on Sunday, and they're like, Matt, I got to give you a hug because you saved us $4,000. And I was like, did it work out? They said, no. Not only did it work out, it is like unbelievable.
Night and day.
They're like, this is absolutely a beautiful machine. That all their complaints were gone. they're talking about hearing noises and everything. Tire pressure is very important on these. So we'll touch more on that on, you know, more videos, but I just want to tell you that is a big one. So that's another thing we do when we do services here is we always check people's air pressure. I already asked Moose, he said 15 pounds he's got.
Yeah,
in
they're
it.
13 or 15.
And I already told him I'd be running 10 because it just adds that a ton of comfort. It's
the difference in ride from the stock tires. And the stock tires that I got on it were in great shape.
Yep.
I mean, they have tons of life left.
So did they have beadlocks?
No.
Okay.
They're not beadlock tires.
So you're probably running 20, 24 pounds of
Yep.
pressure.
But then, man, I'll tell you, as soon as we got these things on there, I was just like, wow. I mean, it's like if you ever drove like a Lincoln Continental or like an older Cadillac.
Yeah.
You know, it's just got that cushy cloud fit. That's really how it rides. It really does.
And I'm willing to bet it's the tire pressure.
For sure.
It's not even you upgrading your tires or anything. It's the tire pressure because you're allowed to run lower pressure.
Yep.
So big one, guys. It really is.
Right.
I had a dune buggy, and my son would always be, you know, a good kid, and he would fill up my air in my tires. And we'd go out to the sand bowl. I'd go to take off at the stop sign and get buried. And I'm like, first thing I'd do is check my air pressure. I'm like, Matthew, did you put air in my tires? He's like, yeah, they looked low. I'm like, Matthew, you're going to get us stuck out here because that was the difference. And sand rails are just two-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. So you're going through a lot of sand. If you have 8 to 10 pounds of pressure, you walk right over top of it.
Right,
You
because
put
the tire
32
has a
pounds of
tendency
pressure,
to conform.
you will sit there and just go straight to the ground.
Right.
You won't go nowhere. So it's kind of reverse with mud. I believe you want to have more air pressure in the mud because then it allows it to dig. Sand, you want to stay on top. So it depends on the terrain you're riding too.
Right on.
So that's just a good one to look into if you just got funky things going on and you're not sure how to fix it. And another one is if you got a brand new machine and you've done these inspections and you've walked through it kind of like we're doing and you're still hearing noises, get a radio, wear a helmet. It's an off-road toy. You're going to hear noises.
Yep.
I'm just hands down.
Yeah, I just added the sound bar. So if yesterday there was any noises, I have no clue.
Right.
Right, because all I could hear was the country music.
But
rocking.
if you do these things I'm talking about, you don't have to listen to it.
Right.
Because you shook your tires. You know they're not going to fall off. You know it's not going to fall apart.
That's right.
Because you personally did it. So there is the guys that bring them to me and they want me to do everything. I really encourage you guys to do this stuff on your own too. Whether you have it come to me or not, it's just things you want to do to make sure that you're staying safe out there.
All right. All right, guys. So this video is getting a little long. I'm not apologizing for that because I think we learned a lot, right? And I know when I was looking to buy a used machine, you know, I'd see these guys that would put out videos and they'd be like, everything you need to know before you go buy, you know, spend this money. And then it's like an 8-minute video and they don't go into depth and I don't really know. I mean, you know, I'm in my 50s, man, and I've never owned a side-by-side. So
They haven't been out long.
Right, when
so
people
Grandpa couldn't teach you these things.
Right, exactly, right. We didn't all grow up doing
Right.
this. So, you know, number one, I want to thank Matt. Thanks for your time in this, obviously. But we're going to start another video, so you guys are going to have to tune back in a couple of days. But we're going to do the fluid changes, clutch inspection, things like that, just to kind of, you know, give you guys the next part. So this will be the end of part 1.
Yep.
And then we'll come back with part 2. Matt is going to make me change the fluids, which I think is a great idea. I mean, honestly, the only reason I'm not doing this at home is, number one, I've never done it before, but number two, it's freezing cold, my garage isn't heated.
Well, and for peace of mind.
And for peace of mind.
You know, that way when we dump stuff, I can say that's what you expect.
Right.
You know, and I'm going to go right back into teaching. You drop your front diff fluid and it's absolutely black, go 100 miles, change it again.
Right.
You know, that kind of thing. That way you see that it clears up because a lot of people, they think it's like a car and you just got to change it. I just want engine oil. I'll tell you right now, we've probably done 1,000 services. I've never once done just engine oil. I refuse to do it.
Right.
If that's all you want, you can go to another guy. Because I know for a fact that transmissions, diffs fail more than the engines.
Right.
So,
yeah,
right
for
back
sure.
and we'll do a lot more.
Right. So once again, thanks to sak-it. Once again, keep it clean, man. Just pick up your garbage. Please don't leave it on the trails. Let's keep this, this beauty of nature, no matter where you live, as clean as possible. Things like that.
Can you do like a link to sak-it?
Yeah, there'll be a link down below for sak-it, and then
Aftermarket Assassin.
Yep, Aftermarket Assassins. Huge shout out to them. There's going to be a video coming on that. AMSOIL, right? Because not that I'm sponsored by them or anything, but it is the only oil that I will use in this machine. I've learned enough about that, so we're going to use AMSOIL.
AMSOIL is definitely good.
Absolutely.
Good.
So, but outside of that, till next time, be good to each other. God bless, and don't forget, if you're in St. Helen, Michigan, check out 222 Offroad Quick Lube Service Center for every need that you have. They do lighting, they do oil changes, they do repairs. You can do anything, right?
We do same day service.
Right.
I open a shop at 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday to get you back on the trail.
But if I smoke my motor, you can take care of that, right?
Absolutely.
See what I mean? Everything you need. And that's not only side-by-sides, that's quads, snowmobiles, dirt bikes.
We touch them all.
Right. Anything with a motor, try not to bring your McLaren here. Not that we wouldn't enjoy that. That'd be awesome.
Cool.
It would be cool, but not qualified. But anyway, be good to each other. God bless. We'll talk to you guys all later.
Keep it clean.
See ya.